Let's just say he's worth, well,
He's not. He's a total loser. He's almost bankrupt.
well, okay. So you can say that, and that's fine. But
Can't say he's a loser.
But
Total loser.
But if you say he's bankrupt, you can say that can be your opinion. But the last 60 years, the last 50 years, proves you wrong. Okay,
It doesn't. It proves me wrong.
15 years Apprentice was number one. How the hell are you that entertaining to be number one for 15 years, right? You know, financially, real estate properties, when you think about a real estate name brand, you think about one name. You don't think about 50 different names. You think about a guy that's been able to brand himself, you think about Trump. Now, are you going to buy Trump's steak? Probably not. But you're going to buy...
Neither did anyone else.
Neither.
In this clip from the PBD Podcast, host Patrick Bet-David sits down with Cenk Uygur, founder of the Young Turks, for what becomes a fiercely passionate debate. The two dive deep into their clashing political perspectives, and things definitely get intense.
Yeah, so, but the point is, he's had the girls, he's had the fame, he's had the properties, he's been to the parties, he's had the money. How the hell are you going to, like, does he want to be, if he's worth $2.5 billion right now?
He's not.
Let's just say he's worth, well.
He's not. He's a total loser. He's almost bankrupt.
Well, okay, so you can say that, and that's fine. But
Can't say he's a loser.
But
Total loser.
But if you say he's bankrupt, you can say that can be your opinion. But the last 60 years, the last 50 years, proves you wrong. Okay,
It doesn't. It proves me wrong.
15 years Apprentice was number one. How the hell are you that entertaining to be number one for 15 years, right? You know, financially, real estate properties, when you think about a real estate name brand, you think about one name. You don't think about 50 different names. You think about a guy that's been able to brand himself, you think about Trump. Now, are you going to buy Trump's steak? Probably not. But you're going to buy...
Neither did anyone else.
Neither did... but the point is, he's had great victories. He's got kids that are doing well for themselves. He's got a daughter that, you know, has
So does
done...
Biden.
Yeah. That was a different angle you took. But where I'm going with this is, that's the part where I feel they can't stand the guy because they cannot control him. So for me, when I see, you know, what's going on with them wanting to get rid of this guy, and you're like, look, the big donors don't want to give him money. Look how much money he got. No, he can't raise any money. Nobody wants to give him any money. And look at this stuff. Yeah, but the people that are raising money are the people that are not being trusted because they're part of the establishment, left or right. A lot of people are saying. This is why guys like RFK are getting some momentum. This is why guys like Vivek are getting some momentum. Because Vivek's got his own money. RFK's coming out doing some grassroots stuff. So what are your thoughts on this with Trump?
Yeah. So first of all, with Trump, look, the guy's got insatiable greed. So I don't buy that, oh, he's had enough. He's never had enough, okay? Number two, he's a natural born loser. He's lost at everything except two things. Obviously, he won the presidency in 2016. Yeah, he lost the popular vote, and Democrats cry about that. And they should. The Electoral College is terrible. It's a disaster. But he won the Electoral College. He won it, right? So you give him that for sure. And he's great at marketing. Just blah, 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 Trump, 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 Trump. And Democrats don't get it. They're such knuckleheads. They're like, oh, if we have an accomplishment, we should whisper about it on NPR. No, you should scream at the top of your lungs like Trump does. But having said that, bankrupt 6 times, got clowned in 2020, and he's been crying about it ever since like a little spoiled brat. Had to have his dad get him into the schools that he got into. He hides his grades from high school and college because he's a loser. He's a spoiled little baby. He blew $413 million from his dad, blew it all. Then he got $400 million from Apprentice. Why was that successful? Because of the producers. I know the producers on that show. They had to treat him like a baby. Hey, baby, come here. Baby, say this.
The same producers have done shows that flopped.
Yeah,
you know
no, but they've also the same producers who did other number one hits.
It is so hard to keep a number one hit show for 15 years.
But if you want to say Trump is entertaining, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's pretty good at marketing, right? And he says these terrible things, but people laugh, right? And I get it. And you know his giant strength that people don't talk about, and no one in mainstream media acknowledges this.
Okay, maybe the production team deserves some credit, but let's be real. A huge reason for the show's success is that Donald Trump is a massive superstar. I know that might be a controversial thing to say, so I want to be clear. I'm not some die-hard supporter who thinks he can do no wrong. I don't agree with everything he says or does. However, looking at the current election, I genuinely believe he is the best candidate we have. That's why when I hear people like Cenk Uygur call him a loser, it just comes across as them refusing to acknowledge his influence and popularity. It feels like a major coping mechanism because they don't want to admit his strengths. But that's just my take. I'm really curious to hear what you all think. Let me know in the comments.
He doesn't look fake. I think he's a con man, and he's been a con man his whole life. But he looks authentic because he doesn't go off a prompter. And you think, well, that's a real guy. He's saying crazy crap that nobody else would say. And all the other politicians look like actors. They're robots. They come out like Pete Buttigieg came out from a factory. Everybody knows that, right? Gavin Newsom, but also DeSantis and McConnell. They're all robots. They come in, I will do this. I have been told by my donors this is great policy, right? And so he has the feelings of authenticity. But if you look at his records, like you said, great in real estate, he's awful in real estate. In Atlantic City, he built 3 casinos. Everybody said, you're going to cannibalize it, you moron, your own business. And you know, one of his top assistants says he just likes his name in lights. So he'd like to see Trump in Atlantic City, and he bankrupted all 3 because he sucks at business.
You think you're good in business?
Yes.
You think you're good in business?
Yes.
Cenk.
Yes.
Seriously.
100%.
Okay, so when's your birthday, by the way? What month's your birthday? Let me see.
March.
March 30, 21st. So, okay.
Yeah.
You're Pisces.
Aries, beginning of Aries.
Oh, you made it to Aries.
Yes.
Interesting. My dad's in Aries. I get along with Aries. Okay. So he's on April 10th. You're March. So you barely are in Aries, though, by one day, right?
Beginning of the
Interesting.
spring.
Okay.
You made the cut, man. You made it.
So, okay. Bro, when you say that, you know, for me, I feel like if there's anybody that would be like a pro-Trump guy in a confusing way, it would be you. Okay, I know this is like, this guy's lost his mind. You have no clue who the F I am. Are you crazy? There's no way. Because in business, you know, do you have a perfect record with business? No. Do I have a perfect record with business? No.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Nobody does. But, you know, has Trump taken it to certain levels that his dad didn't take it? Yeah, that's not easy to do. His dad wasn't as famous as this guy got. It's a very hard work to do that. There's a lot of kids that are spoiled kids from a rich father who don't do shit with the money, and they become crack addicts, and they become drug addicts, and they hire prostitutes all the time, and they go try to sell their laptops at different places, and they, you know, I'm not saying about anybody specific, but this happens
every
every
once. You're saying it about someone specific.
This kind of stuff does happen every
Someone's
once in a while, right? There's stories like that you hear. I was like, oh, okay, this guy's going to make it. This guy's not going to make it. So there is something about him. One can say John F. Kennedy became a president because of his father, Joseph Kennedy, because okay, fine. And Joseph Kennedy became successful because his dad had all this money from. Okay, fine. Okay. There's some of it that's got to go to the credit of the individual. Perfect. So if I listened to you and I didn't know who you were, okay, and I just came to America and I've heard about this Trump guy and I've heard about the Biden guy, and I'm listening to you, I would say that guy is angry at Trump for what reason? He's either envious of Trump, he's angry with him because he sounds personal. He doesn't sound like he's being reasonable. He sounds he's being personal when he's attacking Trump. And I think he loses credibility a little bit for taking the angle that he does. Because you're coming from a place of saying this guy got this much money and he became rich because of this, and he's a loser, he's a this. The guy was on Oprah Winfrey, 1988. And Oprah Winfrey says, so, hey, you sound like somebody that's going to, you've seen this, you sound like somebody that's going to run for office one day. No. Well, do you have any plans? No, but if I ever did, I would win. Who the hell says that? That's like a Babe Ruth call. You know, when you say, I'm going to hit the home run, you point the finger and you hit it. His book crushed it. His show crushed it. He crushed it in New York going up against all these other guys. He's done good with women. He's done good with his kids. He became a president. I don't know, love him or hate him. I don't have a relationship with him. So there is not like I'm defending this guy, I'm doing it. We're in Florida because of DeSantis. We came here because all of a sudden DeSantis, I'm watching him market. I'm like, dude, you're not even out there doing your part marketing. Finally, he's getting to it, and now everybody's asking a question that they shouldn't be asking you, which is what? Why are you so down on the polls? Can you make a comeback? You should have never allowed these people to ask that question if you would have played offense earlier. But when you see a winner and complicated individual, a misunderstood individual, I don't know how many people you're going to put on the list as Trump in the history of America, by the way. Whether you love this guy or hate this guy, it's kind of tough to, demonize the guy's resume. And I know you like to do this, but it's kind of tough to do it.
Not remotely tough.
You think so?
So, Pat, look, I'm giving you nuanced answers. I'm telling you that he's anti-establishment in some ways, and that's part of his appeal. Right. I'm telling you he's good at marketing, and almost everything you're saying is he's good at marketing.
You know, I have to agree with Patrick Bet-David here. He's speaking the complete truth. When you really think about it, Donald Trump represents everything someone like Cenk Uygur probably wishes he could be. And I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff like wealth or fame. Think about their backgrounds. Both are businessmen and media personalities who ventured into politics. Cenk ran for office and, despite a decent effort, ultimately lost. Donald Trump, on the other hand, with no prior political experience, ran for the highest office in the land and won. That's a monumental difference in achievement. There's no denying that Cenk is successful in his own right. The Young Turks has a strong audience. But the level of influence and impact is on a completely different scale. To me, this stark contrast is why Patrick's point hits so hard. It's not about being a devoted fan of Trump. It's just a factual observation about their respective paths. Calling Trump a loser rings hollow when you stack their accomplishments side by side. It's hard not to see a little envy in that criticism.
He was good on TV. He was good at marketing his book. He went on Oprah. It's marketing.
No, you said he wanted two things. And what I did is I showed his resume. That's more than two things. It's a bunch of different things that he wanted. That was my defense to you saying he only wanted two things, not the marketing side.
Pat, imagine if your dad gave you $413 million.
Which we don't know that's the number, but
okay.
You're saying $413 million.
New York Times says this was $413
New York Times also said science is,
New York Times,
I have to take the
New York
COVID
Times has also lied about me. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, but his dad was enormously wealthy. And
There's no
gave
question
him an
about
enormous
it. Sure.
fortune,
Yeah.
and which he lost.
413 by today's standards, or what was it back then? What was the actual?
14 million is the number you hear about.
No way. It's look, I forget. I think it's by today's standards, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, it
okay,
could have been 413.
but it's not
back
14 to 413. That's not how inflation works. So, but Pat, if they gave it to you, you'd probably be worth $4 billion by now.
I don't know about that.
Come on, it's such an enormous
Cenk,
advantage.
do you have kids? Cenk, do you have kids?
Yes.
What are you talking about, bro? Let me unpack this for you. So, one of the hardest things to do is to be the pastor's kid. Are you kidding me? Like the pastor's kid is like, so you got to be a virgin till you get married. I'm gonna go freaking smoke weed, dude. I'm so sick and tired of this pressure. What are you gonna be this? No, I'm not, bro. I remember we're at a church. We're going to the church. The pastor's son. You ready for this? This is a pastor loved by so many people. His son gets arrested across the street from the church with a crew of players taking stuff from Best Buy. And the pastor's going to come on Sunday and preach in front of 20,000 members. So the point I'm trying to make to you is nobody wants to be Michael Jordan's kids. Nobody wants to be Brady's kid. The level of pressure and scrutiny of wanting to do that. Trust me, I understand the level of influence and additional cards and stuff that you can get. But we did a research on a generational wealth. I got kids, and I'm trying to see how do I set it up for my kids to get my wealth without them being spoiled. Okay, so it's something that's important to me. I kind of want to figure out. I'm in a community, a couple families do it right, so I said, let me go out and study this to see how to do it right. Vanderbilts. Do you know how long the wealth lasted? This guy was the richest man in the world, giving money back to the country. You know how many generations money lasted? Two generations.
It's always two generations.
The only wealth that lasted 7 generations, the Medici. Medici lasted 7 generations. It's the only one. Every other one is 2, 3. Rockefeller's still on 4 right now. They're not even on 5, 6, 7. So the notion when you're saying like if you would have had a head start, bro, a lot of people, you give them money, they become spoiled little brats. I had a guy I interviewed who lives in Seattle. You know what his job was? He managed the Templeton family, 16 grandkids. You know what his job was? His job was, he was the guy dealing with billionaire families. And the reason why Seattle, you know why Seattle, Amazon, Microsoft, all those guys, there's all these billionaires and guys that are worth $100 million that no one knows who they are. He's worth $28 million, $148 million, $300 million.
Yes, sir.
They're kids, drug addicts. He says, my biggest job with these guys was to make sure they didn't do drugs. They didn't do alcohol. But you know what the biggest problem with me was? He says, what's that? They typically came to me too late. They came to me too late that I couldn't do anything about it. Dude, this guy's never drank alcohol. He's never done drugs. He doesn't do that. I mean, that kind of stuff to come from that amount of opportunity to screw up, dude, that's not easy to do.
6 bankruptcies. I mean,
No,
look, people make mistakes in business. If you're not making mistakes, you're not really a businessman. Like, there's no question. I get it, right? And I'd cut him I'd cut any business person a lot of slack for, you got a bankruptcy, you got 2 bankruptcies. It happens, brother. 6? He's never had a successful business. Trump Steaks, Trump Water, Trump casinos. You can't name a successful business. He bought an airplane company. He put gold seats in a in an economy airline and immediately went bankrupt. He's terrible at business. But look, if you say it's personal, well, number one, it isn't because I'm giving you nuance on both sides, okay? But having said that, look, it got personal when he lost the election in 2020 and said, screw it, I'm going to try a coup. I'm going to do these fake electors scheme. I'm going to try to rob America of its democracy just so I can stay in power. Screw that guy. And if any of you are voting for that guy who's totally un-American, who betrayed this country, you're nuts, and he won't ever leave office. He's a wannabe dictator. He always praises dictators, whether it's Xi in China, whether it's Kim Jong-un in North Korea, Putin. He's always saying, they get all the applause when they walk in. No one is allowed to disagree with them. And then freedom, my ass. He hates freedom. He wants to take away everyone's freedom so that all the power goes to him.
It's interesting to me that of all the things to criticize Donald Trump for, someone would choose to call him a loser. Regardless of how anyone feels about him politically, by most conventional measures of success, business, media, and especially politics, he has been incredibly successful. He became President of the United States on his first try, which is an achievement very few people can claim. That's why Patrick Bet-David's pushback on the PBD podcast felt so spot on. The argument that Trump is a loser just doesn't hold up to the facts. It seems more like an emotional criticism than a logical one. What did you all think of the exchange? Let me know your thoughts on the clip from Valuetainment in the comments below.